So lately I saw Avatar, of course, because it's the big movie that's out right now, and that led me to watch some earlier James Cameron movies that I'm interested in, like Aliens. And I've been thinking a lot about robots and their application, and specifically about why it's very likely we'll see um, commercial uses for robots and androids in the future, but it may not be so likely that we'll see the kind of battle robots, battle mechs that we've seen portrayed in the movies. Um, I think commercial androids are definitely a possibility because um, if you think about most technological advances that get implemented in companies, it's because they're easy to use and the need for them is readily apparent. And if you think about human-like robots, everything in a workplace is already designed to be used by humans, and all our jobs are already done by humans. So if you have a robot that basically mimics a human, then the costs of implementing it are very low. Besides, of course, the costs of buying that technology. Um, so I think there's a real market for that uh, in the future. And on top of that, my friend Nico linked me to a really interesting documentary that I have down in the notes for this, and that Japan, one of the biggest problems facing Japan right now is their declining population. Um, they have a very large aging population, and it's estimated that in the next 40 years, about 75% of the population will be over 65, and Japan's desperately trying to find ways to make up for that loss of manpower, because obviously, if they don't, their society is going to collapse. And one way they're looking at doing that is by building more human-like robots and building robots that can fill jobs that humans already do. And it's a really interesting documentary, so I recommend you check it out. Um, so conversely to that, I think the reason that we won't see battle robots the way that are portrayed in media is because, of course, they're portrayed as like slow and clunky, and the real imposing factor is that they're huge. They're huge robots, but of course, in a real battle, in a real tactical situation, you need fast response. You need to be able to move over very varied terrain, which so far it seems like upright walking robots that mimic humans aren't too good at dealing with. Um, and while this may have been kind of a representation in movies and fantasy that was kind of perpetuated from how robots have acted in the past, I think we've seen with things like the Honda Asimo and other android human like robots that they're kind of slow and kind of not quite adaptive because the fastest machines that we've built so far are the ones that are adapted for specific applications. But something that you need to do as many varied jobs as a human does, it's much more difficult to make that as responsive in all situations as a human is. So anyway, I think it's unlikely that we'll see those kinds of robots, those kinds of mechs be developed, and it's more likely we'll see sort of applications that assist soldiers already in the field, like what we've seen with they're already developing sort of attached suits that'll help soldiers sort of carry a much larger load on their back. And there's I don't remember the exact name, but there's sort of a dog-looking robot that they're considering using in the field that will let units carry a whole bunch of utilities on the back of the dog. They'll be able to carry um, pounds and pounds of artillery and supplies and things that they need when they're out in the field. So I think it's much more likely that we'll see something that assists soldiers already in the field rather than something that replaces them like the robots and mechs that we see in media and in movies. So that's my point for today, and well, certainly I hope someone sees this and wants to respond. If more than welcome to leave some comments, and please check out my blog. I'll be doing more of these video blogs from now on, and hopefully it was interesting.